Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. This show is brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/ElderScrollsLorecast.
Robots Radio presents The Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, a place where the Elder Scrolls community can come together to discuss the boundaries of our knowledge about the universe of the Elder Scrolls. Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is our patron episode for November 2020. And I am here, well, I'm not alone this time, but I don't have my regular co-host Lotus of Doom with me because we normally record this on Thursday nights, and it's not Thursday night because in the United States, Thursday night was Thanksgiving, so we were eating too much turkey and regretting it. And instead, we are recording now Saturday night. It is 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, so the time is actually the same. It's just a different day, and Lotus couldn't make it today. But fortunately, I'm not on my own because I have our wonderful Tier 4 patrons with us this week, and I'm going to go down the list and introduce each of them, and then we're going to dive into the topic this week, which is vacationing in Tamriel, and where we may want to go or visit if we were to actually take a vacation in the wonderful and absolutely safe and, you know, perfectly fine to go anywhere kind of location like Tamriel. So let's just go down the list alphabetically. Bribwan is back. Bribwan, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us again.
Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then Kung Fu Kangaroo has returned. Kung Fu, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Good to be back. Likewise, I hope everyone had a good and safe Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was good. And then returning, one of our classics from the long storied past of this podcast, our very first Tier 4 patron who kicked it all off with me like a year and something ago at this point. Lincoln, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
It's going good. It is fantastic to be back.
Awesome. And you've got your Elder Scrolls Lorecasters Guild shirt on. Very cool.
Yes, I do. I'll shout it out later, but yeah, we have a Guild in the ESO.
Yep. And he's been heading up some events again. So if you are looking to play some of the Guild events with us on PC, then come check out the Discord. And weekly on Tuesday nights have been the events lately.
Yep. Tuesday starting around 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
So lots of fun there, lots of fun things to do and cool people to hang out with and chat with while you play. And everybody is welcome as long as as long as you're nice, as long as you're a cool person, then you're welcome to join us. And then finally, Midnight Minutes, our brand new Tier 4 patron. Welcome to the show.
Robots, thank you so much for having me. Even though our Thanksgiving was months ago, I'm still feeling the Thanksgiving cheer.
Yeah. We were talking before the show during the pre-show, which we streamed parts of while we got set up. And Midnight was saying how you live up in Canada. And so, yeah, you have Thanksgiving. It's just before ours. So you get to eat more turkey than we do earlier on, I guess. I don't know how that works. I don't even know if you celebrate any of the same stuff, probably, but I'm not Canadian. But welcome to the show. Can you first of all, I want to give you the opportunity to let the audience know a little bit about you, how you got into Elder Scrolls and how you found the podcast and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. So I've been into Elder Scrolls since the Safeness to Skyrim came out forever ago.
Yeah.
I found it through my brothers. I have two younger brothers, so lots of testosterone, lots of video games being played. Not a lot of no sisters to share the girly things with, so I was always into video games. So I was into Skyrim, Elder Scrolls from a very early age. I kind of fell out of it for a bit in high school where I started doing improv and theater, and then I got back into it, and then I got back into it in university, and now I'm graduated. I've been really into video games, Elder Scrolls. I actually found the podcast while looking for some Elder Scrolls lore because I'm a scientist, so I'm doing a lot of menial tasks a lot, which is pipetting water from one thing
Yep.
to another.
Yep.
And that's all I do for 8 hours a day. So I need something to listen to. So I was like, hey, let's find something Elder Scrolls related. I searched up Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Bada bing, bada boom. That's how I found you guys.
Yeah. The SEO is powerful with this one. But
yeah.
That's awesome. You mentioned a few things that we have in common. My wife works in science research, and for years and years, she did, pipetting one thing to another, or in some cases, cutting open the heads of mice in order to, chop up their brains. All for good reasons, for Alzheimer's research and that kind of thing. But yeah, she very much got into podcasts the same way you did, with just like, I need something to do because I'm just doing rote tasks over and over again. And you mentioned you did improv and stuff. That was something I think I've mentioned on the show before too. For 3 years while I was in college, I performed regularly once a week in an improv group, and had a lot of fun with that. I love that kind of stuff.
It's very entertaining and just keeps your mind off of the woes of the world, which is always wonderful.
Yeah. And some of the stories and some of the jokes that come out from that stuff are just the best. My favorite thing to do in improv would be to tell a joke, because you never know, because you're making stuff as you go. You never know if the audience is going to be with you or not get it. And my favorite part was when you would land a joke and then stop talking or whatever. And then there was like a pause because it took the audience just a second to process it. And then all of a sudden, at the same time, it was almost like everybody processes at the same speed. There'd be a gap, and then there'd be a because it's like that moment to get the joke. I don't know. That's always my favorite bit, because it was scary, because I was like, oh, nobody got it. And then all of a sudden everyone does.
Totally agree. And then you get filled up with adrenaline after that. And when your other team members catch on to it and it just keeps going with the jokes landing and audience laughing, that's just the best kind of night you can ask for.
Yeah, very much so. I love that stuff. So again, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. I think you fit perfectly in with this crazy crew we've got. But why don't you go ahead and kick it off? Where would you like to go on vacation in Tamriel? What would be your location? You can be as specific or general as you want. You could say like this kind of region, or you could say the city of such and such, because I really like the way, I want to go visit this place. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, it was a very easy one for me, because my favorite race are the Dunmer, and my favorite location is Vardenfell. So Vardenfell was a very easy choice for me.
Yeah. Okay. So that I don't think that's a very traditional vacation kind of spot, right? You're not going to be going to, there are some beaches, but they're not the most pleasant beaches, right? And there's a volcano, a very active volcano, which is somewhat dangerous. But then you also have, very strange wildlife and plant life and those kinds of things. So why Vardenfell?
Honestly, for me, it is the strange wildlife and fauna and flora that you find there. As a scientist myself, when I go on vacation, I like to go look at the local wildlife and just see how different it is and experience this entire new area and culture. And the Dunmer culture is so interesting. Every race of culture is interesting, but I find the Dunmer culture and area just so alien and interesting, and it really takes you out of your comfort zone, and that's something I like when I'm on vacation.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. That's
interesting, because I've traveled a bit. I've been to some other countries and things like that, and I always feel a little bit insecure, especially if I can't speak the language, because like the part of my brain that's going, make sure you're safe, is going, well, somebody could I don't know, kidnap me, or, ask, demand my money at the end of a knife or gun, and I would have no idea what they're saying, and I'll just get myself shot. Not that other countries are necessarily less safe, just that I wouldn't be able to communicate in a situation or know that I'm even not in the right part of town. So there's always that fear for me. But that's exciting for you.
Yeah. I love it. Just getting out of Canada is amazing, and just having that excitement of anything could happen and all these new things to discover. I love it.
Yeah. So as someone who studies things like mosquitoes, what do you think of the silt striders? Would you ride on a silt strider? Would you
100%?
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. For me, Vardenfell and all the larger insect-like creatures remind me of the time long ago in the Carboniferous period, where we did have our own large insects, large dragonflies, large centipedes, like bigger than my arm span. Oh,
yeah, there were some giant bugs back then.
Insane. So it's alien in its own way, but at the same time, it's familiar in a way for someone like me who really likes to study things from the past and fossils and how things used to be like back then.
So how do you feel about like guar, like the more reptilian types of animals? Are those cool too?
They're dumb looking, but in a cute sort of way.
Yes, they are. I think that's a good description.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's open this up to everybody else, guys. What do you think about vacationing in Vardenfell? Who would like to? You can raise your hand or whatever if you want to chime in. Lincoln, what do you think? Would you go to Vardenfell?
Yeah, I would. It actually holds a pretty special place in my heart because of my early experiences with ESO were on Vardenfell, because that's where I was basically. I initially bought the base game, and at the time it included Morrowind, so that's sort of where it started me. And I kind of had a very similar situation where I thought that was the whole map of the game for a minute.
You're like, wow, there's really not that many places to go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, this is kind of a small map. Then I right-clicked on the map. I'm like, oh my god, it's all Tamriel. So, yeah, I enjoyed Vardenfell. The active volcano would be a little bit of a deterrent for me in terms of, like, I wouldn't go near the volcano.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know the impact that it had once after the events of ESO. But,
At some point it erupts, and then that's yes. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of like if we were to go to Japan or a place like that, like a very, very foreign land. One like you were saying earlier, Tom, is that like you don't speak the language, you don't really know much, and you probably won't be able to read street signs.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it would definitely be fun to go to Vardenfell.
Cool. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I have very different thoughts. So, and I think part of this is because my first exposure to Vardenfell was actually with The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Right.
So my first thought, so I love that game. As anyone who's listened to like the past few Patron chats has heard me say, like, I love Morrowind. I can't stop talking about it. It's my favorite Elder Scrolls game. That being said, I never want to go to Vardenfell, especially not on a vacation. Like maybe on like as a deployment.
Mm-hmm.
But for Vardenfell, I think it's just like for people who have played The Elder Scrolls 3, I think they'd agree. Like it's so hostile. The entire island is so hostile to everything. And so I think as I was thinking about this for vacation purposes, I would want to go to the Falkreath Hold in Skyrim because I'm a huge fan of like the coniferous trees and like the peaceful, serene surroundings, minus the constant wolves.
Right.
But I like that. And then, like, of course, there's the beautiful beach places that I've been exposed to through Elder Scrolls Online, like Ordon, or I think it's Beatnik. Is that how you pronounce it? Or Betnik?
Betnik, yeah. Yeah.
So haven't gone there yet. But, I've seen the pictures and whatnot. And, of course, that would be beautiful, especially now that the weather's getting colder. But I think I still stick with Falkreath. And but I do agree that Vardenfell would be like the most foreign type of land.
Yeah.
And and I actually went to Tokyo a couple of summers ago. So interesting you should bring that up, Lincoln. But it did feel rather foreign.
Yeah. It's
I
weird.
do that
when you can't read the street signs or just ask somebody for direction. Now a lot of people there do speak English too, but it's not guaranteed. So okay, let's move into Skyrim stuff next, but let's wrap up the Vardenfell stuff. Bribon, did you have any thoughts on this? He's like, where is the unmute button? There it is.
I'm looking at. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Vardenfell. It took me forever to get into the zone because I'm very much like I like to like play and I like to like kind of feel the vibe of the zone, and that's what like spurs me on to keep playing. And Vardenfell just felt so hostile and rocky and flames and almost like hell.
It is a little hellish, like the whole like obsidian, like dark colored soil, and then, you know, like streams of magma, and different parts of the islands have more of that than others. Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on, sure.
So it would be one of the last places that I would go for a vacation.
Yeah. I think it would be a cool place to go. I think it would be a neat experience to see it, because it is one of those places where you are going to be in a world that does feel very foreign. It is the closest thing to an alien planet on Tamriel, most likely, well, other than like Oblivion, right? But I think that would be really cool. Now, some of you guys did mention that it's also very hostile. The last bit of this for me would be culturally, it's also very hostile. Throughout most of the ages of Elder Scrolls Online, the Dunmer are very insular. They're about keeping to themselves, and if you're not a Dunmer, then stay out. Or you're not seen as, I mean, heck, if you're a Khajiit or an Argonian, you're not even considered a real person. Would that dissuade you a little bit, Midnight? How would you deal with that? Like, I'm assuming you would be arriving there as a human being. So they would look at you and they'd think, oh, you're a Breton or a Nord or an Imperial or something.
Oh, 100%. That would definitely put a damper on things too, especially coming there, being so excited about the culture and everything, but then having that bar from it in a way, kind of being pushed away and constantly being called Outlander, would definitely dissuade someone from wanting to vacation there. But at the same time, it would make me more stubborn to want to try to get there and get to know people.
No, I'm going to keep bugging you until you talk to me.
Exactly.
That's great. That's great. Well, hey, why don't we transition over to Kung Fu Kangaroo? So you were talking about Skyrim, and you're talking about zones with like mountainous terrain and snow and coniferous trees and wolves and those kinds of things. So would this be like a ski vacation for you? Is this like let's go up to the mountains and have a good time in, the winter type of weather?
Yeah, it's been a while since I'm a snowboarder, and it's been a while since I've been snowboarding. So maybe that has something to factor into it. I'm missing some snow right now. Where I live, it's kind of cold, not that cold. Looking forward to the snow. Mm-hmm. That might be going into it. But I would love to get a cabin in the Falkreath Hold, have the fireplace going, I don't know, go on some hunting trip or snowboarding or, something like that. Wander into some caves, find some necromancers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, kill some necromancers, fight a troll, make sure you bring fire, all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, run-of-the-mill vacation.
Run-of-the-mill vacation. Okay. So when I was brainstorming this stuff, that was one of the ideas that popped in my head, was like, somebody's going to pick Skyrim. They're going to go, the snow, the mountains. Of course, that stuff's beautiful. Being from Florida and having lived in Florida my entire life, I've traveled a lot. Even for work, I've traveled a lot. But my residence has always been in Florida. We don't get snow down here. And if it does snow, in the rare year where we actually get snow, it's the tiniest little water droplet, little flakes that melt as soon as they touch anything. Like, they don't actually sit on the ground. In fact, you might not even notice that it's snowing, as you have to be very, it is very rare. But for me, when I have traveled, it's been kind of cool to go see snow. I know it's a pain for a lot of people to live in it, but as a vacation, it's a great time, because you're like, oh, the weather's so cool and crisp. Lots of, when I walk, it makes this crunchy noise. That's awesome. Like all of that kind of stuff. What about the rest of you guys? What do you think about vacationing in Skyrim? Does anybody have thoughts on that? Go ahead, Midnight.
Of course, Skyrim is beautiful. The skiing and snowboarding would be awesome, but as someone who already lives in the equivalent of Skyrim in the real world, no thanks. If I'm going on vacation, I want to go somewhere warm. I don't want to go to the same climate and freeze my butt off.
Right. That makes sense. That would be like me saying, I want to go vacation on the beaches of Somerset. Like, no, that's not vacation for me. That's a lot like where I already live. Right.
We've been there, done that.
Yeah. I can get as much dolphin art as I want. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Lincoln?
And I guess,
or go ahead. If you have more, go ahead.
There's one last point. I also would not want to be yeeted into a sky by a giant.
Yeah, there is that. There are giants that live up in Skyrim. And they can just, like you go flying. Which was an awesome thing to show my 10-year-old the first time I introduced him to Skyrim, because, as a 10-year-old, that's just hilarious, because the game looks really scary for a kid, like there are these monsters, these dark caves and stuff, magic and weird looking people. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a giant over there. And then he's like, I think the first time he saw it, the giant swung and hit one of the mammoths, and the mammoth went, whew, and he was just like, his eyes got big and he was like, what? And I was like, yep, that happens. They'll do the same thing to you. So stay back. Yeah, great times. So Lincoln, Ribwan, do you guys have any thoughts about Skyrim? Would that be a vacation destination for you?
I mean, for me, again, it would definitely be different from where I am, because very similar to you, Tom. I'm in Georgia, so literally bordering you. So it's
right.
Very similar climate.
Yeah, you just have clay instead of sand. That's really the only difference.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and we have a little bit of mountains,
right?
And you're like basically flat.
Yes,
But yeah, I mean, I've only gotten snow like 3 times in my life, so it'd be great to go up to Skyrim and see all those, just see, the kind of snow that, you can't even shovel away, the kind of snow that like you open up your door and then like a foot of it falls into your house.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it's all just like in the doorway and you can't even get it out. You can't close your door because it's too much.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Skyrim's great. The game was great. The land is great. I'd love to visit there.
What about dragons? Like if you were to visit during the 4th era when the Skyrim the game came out.
During the events of the 4th era, I would not like to go to Skyrim.
Right, because there's a civil war. There's dragons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't even mention that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cultural side of it too, right? You've got like, I mean, you have a few different, you have like, I guess it depends on the era that you visit it, but you have, the pro-Nords, you have the pro-Imperials, and then you have the Forsworn. You've got like 3 different factions, and they're all, you're not going to show up in a town and someone's going to be like, like, oh, it's cool, you can be for the Imperials. They're going to wonder what side you're on, and if you're not on their side, they're going to be like, get out or I will kill you.
Yeah, that's the question you can ask every single innkeeper in Skyrim is, which side are you on?
Yep. I can imagine that would be dangerous. I'm just visiting.
Yeah.
Gotta pick a side.
You might be a spy, sort of situation.
Yeah. Rib1, any thoughts?
I'm from Colorado, or I live in Colorado now. So Skyrim is kind of like where I'm at. So I love it here, but I wouldn't vacation here because I live here. So
yeah, that makes sense. So Colorado's basically Skyrim without the giants and the dragons, unless you know something I don't. Maybe the giants are actually Sasquatch.
I've seen a few things. Yeah, I've seen a few things in my day here in the mountains, but honestly, the thing that would bug me the most is the trolls. Like when I played Skyrim, I hated the trolls.
Yeah,
it just kills me.
Yeah, the troll. You always felt like you should be able to beat them more easily, and then they just keep healing up, and you're like, stupid troll.
How can I shoot a dragon out of the sky with 4 arrows, but yet it takes me 30 arrows to kill a troll?
Right. Yeah, trolls are definitely a problem. Yeah, that's why I said you have to bring fire. You got to make sure you got fire if you're traveling in Skyrim. Kung Fu Kangaroo, is there anything else you want to say about Skyrim vacations to wrap this up? Any other thoughts on this?
Sure, yeah. So one of the other things that I would, if I was going to go to Tamriel in real life, one of the main things, of course, as you mentioned, Tom, is culture. And of course, I want to appreciate the beautiful landscapes of Skyrim, but I also want to like interact with the people, like try the food, the type of
the sweet rolls,
touristy thing. Sweet rolls, of course. I mean, I have to. I would even try like Elsewhere fondue. I'm not even sure. Like, there's moon sugar in that, right? I would try it. Whatever.
Probably. I think it's like in everything. Yeah.
But I would want to go to one of the bigger cities too. I'd probably stop by Solitude or Windhelm Go around, stay in the inns, stuff like that. But yeah, definitely avoid the frost trolls. That's not on the agenda whatsoever. I'm taking a carriage between cities is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Now there is a similarity between Vardenfell and Skyrim, and that is that both of them have Dwemer ruins. Would you guys take like in the real world, if you visit somewhere with like old historic ruins, of course you can't go just exploring them on your own, but you can take a tour. Would you go on like whatever the local tour is of like visit the Dwemer ruins of, and then they have the weird name because you can't pronounce any of them. What do you think about that?
So I would go off the beaten path a little bit.
And get attacked by a centurion?
Maybe. I might end up as one of those guys, like the one guy who ended up in the Dark Brotherhood sanctuary after having, observed and reported on them, and lo and behold, he's dead. But I say that because, as I mentioned in a previous episode, I'm a journalist by trade. So I want to go and investigate that unreported aspect of it. And it might get me killed. I don't know. But I would be very
pretty dangerous.
The untapped portion of those ruins is what would draw me in and perhaps be my downfall.
I would imagine that it would be a lot like visiting a place like Pompeii, which I've had the opportunity to visit, in that you're walking into a space that looks very similar to what it would have looked like when people actually occupied it. But nobody actually occupies it anymore, so you get a glimpse of like the echoes of the people who lived there by the surroundings, the buildings, the structures that were left. And you could get a sense of like, this is the main, if you've been to Pompeii, if you've ever looked at a map, it's really cool because it's laid out like a traditional Roman town, and you can walk down the street, you can see where people lived and where they had shops off the fronts of their houses. And some of them were bakers. And, if you worked downtown, like down in the middle of the city center for lunch, you might walk down one of these residential streets and stop off and get some baked goods at one of the homes because they just cook them in the front of the home. It was really cool. Or if you go down to the middle of this city center, you've got like the ruins of all the main buildings, including the temple where they had like giant statue of whatever god was that, in that temple. And in Pompeii, there's one for Mercury, or the equivalent of Mercury. No, it's Mercury. It's Mercury in Roman, right? And Mercury, and there's like two others. And I mean, it must have just been amazing to have seen that in real life, painted and with all the colors and things. So to go visit like Dwemer ruins, you might get the same kind of sense of that. Like, oh, this is where they lived. This is where they worked. These are the things they did. This might have been what they would have been like. That'd be really cool. Yeah, go ahead, Midnight.
It'd be cool, like you kind of see bits and pieces of how they live, but I think the most interesting thing is no matter how much you know about them, you'll never know everything, and there'll always be that era of mystery attached to the dwarves and their ruins, and it just that sense of intrigue that you get while walking through a museum or a spot like Pompeii. You'll never know what exactly the people were like.
Yeah, and to me, it's always felt like when you go through a museum, or especially go through an actual physical location, there's that feeling of like, and I know it's not like, I don't believe in ghosts and things like that. Some people do. It's not a big thing for me, but you still have that feeling of like the history of the place, and the spirit of the people is still kind of there. It's kind of this spooky quality to it. And I bet actually walking through Dwemer ruins would be very similar to that, until, of course, the spider and centurion bots attack you and then you run for your life. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that stuff. Tell you what, we've got, is there anything else that you wanted to say about Skyrim, or is that pretty much it?
I did want to add something.
Go ahead.
Part of the reason, like I like exploring a lot. It's way better, I think, in the single player games than it is ESO.
Mm-hmm.
So like exploring Skyrim in Skyrim is better than exploring Skyrim in ESO. But one of the big coolest things I always thought of is like when you are along a trail and like all of a sudden there's just like a mine, especially if you don't playing with add-ons, right? Like it's just kind of like a cool surprise. And in Colorado, I've been on a couple trails in the mountains where like, you're on the trail and all of a sudden like to your left is literally like it's locked down. They're like locked now, but like one of the ones I can think of explicitly is a uranium mine. And it's just this like like 4-foot hole in the rock, and you can like look into it and look into the shaft.
Wow.
And it's pretty cool. You actually get a sense of like kind of some of the things that we're talking about of like exploring ruins or mines or things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like a life equivalent a little bit.
Yeah, there's always that question of like, what was it like for the people who used to be here? What was life like? What was this like for them? You know, this was mundane to them, but to us it's very interesting because it's very different than what we experience daily. Yeah, that's really cool stuff. Well, tell you what, why don't we move on to the middle of the show? We'll do like the middle thing real quick, and then we'll come back. And would Lincoln or Bribwin, which of you would Lincoln? You want to go next? Lincoln's up next. All right, sounds good. Let's go to the middle of the show.
The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you like bad movies?
Do you find yourself defending bad movies, saying things like, well, the soundtrack was okay, or the costumes were pretty fun?
From the previous hosts of It's Not That Bad podcast, we bring you Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast, from Simone LaRue and Chad Ekovitz.
Every week, we review 2 movies that did not do well critically, but we say, hey, there are some nice things about them. Maybe Rotten Tomatoes was wrong.
Maybe they're all fools, and you should watch these movies regardless. We'll also talk about scenes that could have saved it, and we'll often refer to Simone's cats because they're amazing and adorable, and we love them.
And at the end of each review, we will tell you whether we would watch this movie again, or in what circumstances we would recommend you watch this movie.
So, join us on July 9th for the first drop of our main episode, and then 2 days later for our drop of our minisodes.
And on Robots Radio Podcast Network. Come see us on July 9th. We love you so much already. Bye!
Here we are in the middle of the show, and this is the place where I get to thank our patrons for being patrons, and I get to say that to their faces today. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate the support. This is what helps me continue to do this on a weekly basis, and I can't tell you how much it means to me that you guys value it enough to put your hard-earned money here in order to make sure that I can keep doing this. So thank you very, very much. And thank you especially to our tier 4 patrons. You guys, being able to chat with you every month is always a top of my monthly list of things to look forward to. So I very much appreciate you being here. If anyone who's listening live on chat or on, in your ear holes on the podcast in any other situation would be interested in helping to support the show and getting ad-free episodes, getting on the show for our chats, or even getting the extended episodes. After our normal episodes, we'll be playing our Are You Smarter Than Twitch chat with some trivia and things like that on future episodes, or just like the one we had last week. Then check out patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast, and you can check out all the different tiers and see if it's something you'd like to help support. I very much appreciate it. And if that's not your thing, then think about just telling your friends about the show or leaving a review. I'll be going over some of that stuff next week on next week's episode. So thank you again to all of our patrons. You guys are absolutely the best. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
Yes, you're entirely brilliant. Conquering madness and all that. Blah, 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 blah.
All right. So, Shiogora tells us that it's time to get back to our topic. Lincoln, where are you going on vacation in Tamriel?
I have chosen the beautiful island of Somerset.
Ah, yes. I thought maybe somebody would pick Somerset because it is very beautiful. It is very temperate. What do you think? What draws you to Somerset?
The tree, just the island itself, honestly. Like, we were there during the last week's event in ESO. We were there a little bit.
The guild event, the group
guild
event you guys set
a
up.
little bit of a side note, yeah.
Were you fighting world bosses? What were you doing?
It was we were fishing, actually.
Oh yeah, you had a fishing event. That's right. Fishing in Somerset. That sounds like vacation.
It was real fun. Yeah,
you guys
was
you already went on vacation in Somerset. You went on like a fishing vacation.
Essentially, yeah. We all got our beers and everything.
Yeah.
And everything like you do in real life. It was really fun. But anyways, it's just a beautiful island, honestly. Like, I don't know I can't put words into how beautiful it is. Yeah.
The sunlight, there's a lot of sun. There's colors. You've got the green of the trees and the grasses, and then the beautiful colors of the flowers and the scenery. You've got the nice sandy beaches and, the ocean water and the fish and the wildlife. You've got the Indrix running around. Yeah, there's a lot to the nature on the island there.
It's pretty good size island too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like with some of these other ones, what about the culture? What about the peoples? Or what about the cities?
I know it's the High Elves.
Right.
I know I know they're very high of themselves, since the name is very appropriate.
Yes.
But so me as a Nord / Breton looking person, probably wouldn't be very. Not necessarily they would just shun me, because I'm not an Argonian or I'm not a Khajiit,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a very different culture, and I guess I'd enjoy that too, because I've always wanted to go to, like I said earlier, Tokyo or Europe or a place like that. So just different cultures I'm very into.
Yeah. So I would imagine that if you could get past the whole like haughty, like we are the High Elves and we're better than everyone else, if that didn't bother you too much, there's also a lot of like historic culture to the High Elves, right? There's the architecture and the libraries of knowledge and the studies of magic. The Sigic Order is there. Of course, you wouldn't be able to get into that, but you could have conversations with very powerful mages who probably have lots of knowledge. The elves live a very long time, so you would meet people who have been around for a long, long time. They have very interesting takes on religion and their worship of the gods and where the elves and man came from. You'd have some very interesting and maybe strong debates with them, being that you would have been from a different culture and arguing that. I can imagine that if you get past them making fun of you for not being a high elf part, that you could probably learn a lot. There'd be a lot of to experience.
Yeah, definitely. They're very smart. I'm not going to take that out of them. They have a very, very good what's the word I'm looking for? Like learning culture or whatever. Education. They're very scholarly. I guess that's a good word.
Very scholarly. Yeah, that's the right word.
So yeah, I've always enjoyed going to like museums and stuff like that. I'm sure there's plenty of museums in Somerset that we don't have access to in the games.
Yeah, I would imagine like in Elder Scrolls Online, all of the zones are shrunken, right? Like the island of Somerset or the island of Vardenfell are only a few miles wide and long, But in reality, if you had an entire culture of people in multiple cities, that they would all be much larger than that. The population wouldn't fit on that space. So I would imagine that, an actual city in that space would have way more stuff to do than just there. So you would find libraries, you would find universities, you would find, all sorts of different interesting things and places to go.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't even mention was like the architecture of the cities on that island are so beautiful as well. Especially, what's that city that like has the perfect place for wrist that like everything's in a circle? I'm so bad with names. So am I.
Yeah.
I should probably know it because that's where my character is right now in ESO. But
right.
Anyway, whatever that city is.
Yeah. These are the moments where somebody's yelling at their car stereo while we have the show.
Yeah, exactly.
I apologize.
Today.
Yeah, I apologize, but yeah, that's that's just what it's going to be like.
Bob would know if he was here.
Bob would know. Bob, where's freaking Bob? Bob, we need you back. All right. Well, what do the rest of you think about Somerset? Does a nice sunshiny vacation in Somerset sound appealing? Anybody want to go? Go ahead and raise a hand if you want to chime in. Yeah, Kung Fu?
Yeah, so I live in Missouri, so that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah, Missouri is like, if none of you have ever been to Missouri, it's like if you were to combine Arkansas and West Virginia, but like the bad parts of those.
Yeah, I love just side note real quick.
Kansas City has some good barbecue.
Yeah, I love that in the United States we have a state called Kansas and Arkansas, but it's not pronounced that way. I love that that's a thing. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, about Somerset, I like that you brought up the fact that they would probably have well-kept museums. I'm a big museum guy, so that would, I didn't even think of that actually before you brought that up, Lincoln. So that would be a really like big, if they marketed that in their tourism department, that would totally work on me. I would be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Can you imagine the kinds of things they would have in a museum in Somerset? Like just ancient things that have been found and stored. Maybe some of museums. Yeah. Maybe some of them came from, Aldmeris, and, were like, I don't know, remnants of things that came over with them.
Yeah, it could be, more than just the island of Somerset. It could be all of Tamriel. Or, if it takes place after the if it takes place after the eruption of Red Mountain, you could have some stuff from Vardenfell that made its way over.
Right, or explorers went and found things and brought them back to Somerset, because think about it. Like, that's throughout the 20th century. That's what most of the Western world did. Is 18th, 19th, and 20th century is that our archaeologists and scientists would go to other cultures, discover things, and then take them back to our museums. Right? Because we were like, oh, these are for us to study. Well, no, they're of the culture that you took them from. They should probably stay there. But that's not the way we treated the world, right? And the High Elves have a very similar sense of entitlement. That like, well, we're the most sophisticated society here, so that's going to be ours, and we're going to take it back to our museums. So I bet you could find stuff from across the entire continent.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Bribon, you had something you wanted to chime in with?
I play as an orc, and I remember I love Somerset's like aesthetics, but I remember my first time walking into a big city. I don't think it was Somerset. I think it was actually the smaller one just to the right. I forgot what it's called. Is it Aradon maybe?
Yes, Aradon. That's the small little island. Yeah.
Aradon, yeah.
Yeah. So I was walking into a little village there, and there was a high elf on a bridge, and she said something to the effect of like, "You don't deserve to be talking to me, orc scum." And I try and like play as like a nice creature, like I guess like a good natured person in the game. And you can look at your stats, and I only have 2 people murdered or in the entire game, and she was one of them. So I don't know if I could cut it there from a culture standpoint.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Yeah. The way they treat orcs especially is really, really rough. That would become, even if I wasn't an orc, I'd be like, you need to be nicer. Yeah. Now my main character is basically an assassin and has worked for the Dark Brotherhood and whoever. So I'm now I need to go look up that number. It's probably like thousands of people I've murdered at this point. Anyway, yeah. So, okay. Any other thoughts on Somerset? Yeah, go ahead, Midnight.
Yeah, for me, especially along the coast of Somerset, it reminds me a lot of home, because I grew up and I'm from the east coast of Canada, so even if it's home, it still feels like a vacation, because in the summer you would go out to your family cabin on the ocean, you'd have a really nice day to get on the boat, or you'd be on the sand and the beach, have a beer, and go fishing, and that just seems like something that you would do in Somerset Isles, and nothing compares to the smell of the ocean while you're out on the beach on a sunny day. Nothing compares to it. Yeah,
that's true. And as a Floridian myself, although I wouldn't want to vacation there because it would feel like just being here mostly. I mean, I would go for like the culture in the cities and things more than the actual nature stuff. But I do love the smell of the ocean, and the area I grew up in was much closer to the ocean than I am now and have lived since. So even back when my parents still lived there, when I would say drive back from college and visit them, as you got closer, if you left the car windows open as you drove, eventually you could start smelling the ocean air. And that felt like home. And I didn't realize how much it smelled like that all the time until I moved away. And then I moved back, and then you're like, oh yeah, it smells like the ocean. But I do love the ocean. I think I would rather be on a boat on the ocean than say on the beach. But yeah, that is an appealing thing. I can imagine that as well. All right. Well, let's move on to Bribwan. I think you're the last one here, buddy. Do you have a favorite location for a vacation? What do you think?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say how disappointed I am that I couldn't be at the fishing event, because I think that was my idea, and I wanted to do a fishing event forever, because I fishing's so slow that I find myself doing other things in the game, but I want to do the fishing achievements, and it's easier to fish in a group. So I was so happy to do it. I was so disappointed that I didn't make it.
Right, and you get to chat, so it passes the time. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about doing it again in the future, like just sort of doing like a rotation of events. Like some weeks we do world bosses, some weeks we fish. So it's definitely still in the cards. It's not like we're not going to never do it again. So.
Plus, you could always just like throw something out there on Discord and be like, "Hey guys, tonight I wanted to do some fishing. Who wants to hang out?"
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought about. There's 3 places that I'll bring up. There's one that's a clear winner for me, but the first one I thought of was Stros Mackay because I'm a big Daggerfall Covenant person, and I wish Bob was here because I know he is too. And that's your starting zone. And I just remember getting there and thinking, this is really cool. Like I was like, it just felt like something that when I was choosing my character, I remember like Googling images of zones, and like most of the Daggerfall Covenant kind of feels more like, temperate woods with medieval architecture.
Yeah.
But then you get they like put you in Stros Mackay, and it's like kind of like a tropical island, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it feels like a Caribbean island, sort of.
Yes.
A little bit.
So I thought about Grotwood because I love forests, and I think it'd be really cool to stay in like one of those tree pods that the wood elves live in.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about really interesting land and like plant life and that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I did end on, this is very specific, but I find myself going to this place frequently just to take screenshots. It's called the West Wind Lighthouse in Rivenspire. It's the very northern tip, and it's like you can only take a road to get there from the east, and it is like you can even Google pictures of it, and it kind of looks like scary and creepy, like because a lot of them are dark. But there's like a little cove next to the lighthouse. It has a bunch of fishing holes and kind of like tide pools and a beach area, and then there's the lighthouse itself. It feels like the perfect getaway, even when I'm in game. Like I just go there sometimes to fish if I ever get bored or something, or just to take a screenshot. So that would probably be the place that I would vacation if I was to choose.
Yeah, Daggerfall, and some of these other like Rivenspire, like some of the more gothic looking architecture kinds of places, like northern on the ocean. That seems, or European on the water, like Northern European on the water kinds of locations seem very appealing to me. And the lighthouse itself has like this really cool aesthetic to it.
Yeah, I would encourage you guys to check it out in game, like especially during the daytime, because the seawater is like super clear, and it's like I remember going there and thinking this is phenomenal looking. Like, and I'm not really. I mean, I'm into the setting of the games I'm playing, but I remember I can still vividly see it even when I'm in other zones and kind of immersed in other parts of the game. So it's like a little gem that you can find if you play ESO.
Yeah, that's cool that it's so striking to you that you've held on to it. That's really neat. Do any of the rest of you have any thoughts about Rivenspire or that part of the world, like the northern part of that area? Yeah, Midnight.
I don't know if this is just me, but you mentioned before with the Gothic architecture and stuff. It seems like Rivenspire would be the kind of place you go on like haunted tours or ghost hunting or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also a little bit more overcast. The nights seem darker. There's that kind of spooky
more like
quality.
Gloom and Doom.
Yeah,
that's
what I want. There's too much sunshine in Florida. I need to go. I want to go to a place like this. I think that would be really, really cool. Lincoln or Kung Fu? You guys have any thoughts? Go for it.
So I'm also a Daggerfall Covenant guy. I have a character right now in the Old Man Dominion.
Yeah.
But
man, EB for life.
So I beta tested ESO, and ever since when I made my character, then the first alliance that I picked was Daggerfall Covenant, and I would love to go visit Glenumbra. I would love to. Just like for what you said, the haunted tours, the Gothic architecture, but I also like, I don't know. I guess there hasn't been a game with good graphics around based on that part of the world besides Elder Scrolls Online, and I might be alone in this, but I consider Elder Scrolls Online like a separate entity from the other.
It's a different kind of game.
Anthology.
Sure.
Of Elder Scrolls.
Sure.
But I would love to see, I know that there's a lot of speculation on the Elder Scrolls 6, and I'm not really going to get into too much of that because that could be its own episode. But, it looks like it could be High Rock. maybe. That would be awesome. I'd love that. That would be like dream come true. That's like what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Fingers crossed. I'd love to go back to that part of the world. I think it would be really, really cool. Well, anything else on Rivenspire or that world? Anything else to wrap it up, Ribwan? Anyone else?
I actually think that the Gothic part of it is not what I like, although that would, and we talked about cultures. I think I would be pretty worried about vampires.
Right.
If I went to that part of the world. Maybe that's part of why I found that lighthouse so striking, is because it's a very different contrast than the more Gothic part of the zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very cool stuff. So if I was to pick a place, I would go, I would want to visit some of these other places you guys have mentioned for different reasons, that I've noted already. But I think it would be really cool to go to Hammerfell, specifically Sentinel on the West Coast. Not for the way the climate is or the landscape, like a lot of Hammerfell's desert. It's very rocky. That's fine. Sentinel's on the coast. That's cool. But specifically the idea that the people in Hammerfell came from Yakuta, and everybody else on the continent was either originally from Atmora or Aldmeris. If you were Manish, you were from Atmora. If you were Elven, you were from Aldmeris, and then you came to the continent, and whatever, you're a beast race, you came from Tamriel initially. That seems to be where you originated. But the Yakutan culture is very different from anything else on the continent at all, other than, say, maybe the Akaviri culture from the other continent. So the idea that like you could go to a place like Sentinel and see an influence of a Manish culture that came from a place that's different from everybody else on the entire continent is a really cool idea. And we've got a little bit of that in some of the culture and some of the, the way the buildings are made, the armor and things like that in Elder Scrolls Online. But going that same kind of route with the idea that like they would have museums, they might have ships, the remnants of ships that were from Yakuta, and, armor and just items, household items and things from a place that may not even exist anymore and isn't even part of this continent. Talk about like an alien world in a way, but not exactly alien. I think that would be really, really cool.
You get a feel for that a little bit just northwest of Sentinel. There's like a little, it's right on the beach, but it's like of ruins. Mm-hmm. And I always go there because I always find to get like antiquities in this little area, but you can like go through like a little hallway. It's all outside, but it feels like kind of that like otherworldly, like, or other continent kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And the architecture is different than anywhere else on the continent. It's clearly modified for living conditions in that part of the world, dry and arid, but even just kind of some of the shapes of the architecture, obviously they pull from a lot of real world influence, but again, it's stuff you don't see on the rest of the continent. My other thought would be exploring some of the Ayleid ruins in like the Heartland area. I think that would be really neat too, because you have, the imperial culture that's sitting on top of the remnants of another disappeared elven culture. And the fact that like some of those still have, I don't know, those stones that like glow, the blue stones that glow in the dark. And I don't know, then aliens were creepy. Like talk about like their architecture is beautiful, but yet they were so terrible. They did such terrible things to the Manish races that they enslaved. And so you have this like weird juxtaposition of like beautiful elven craftsmanship and architecture mixed with like terrible bad histories of things, and probably ghosts. Like you'd probably come across ghosts and things. So anyway, those are the places that I would offer up as interesting to visit, at least. Any thoughts on any of those? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just surprised nobody chose beast races area. We all chose Animal kind of humanoid-ish places.
Right. We joked in the pre-show about Black Marsh being, very dangerous, and of course it's just a big swamp. And other than meeting the Argonians, which would be super interesting, the swamp area would be rough. But yeah, elsewhere, talking about like going to elsewhere and having conversations with what look like house cats. That would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
The Elfique, yeah, like or just giant regular cat people walking around. There's some of them that are really big, or just normal sized cat people. That would be super weird.
Like the big buff ones.
Yeah,
that, like you ride on.
Yeah. Like just surrounding yourself with cats. I would just sneeze all the time. I'm allergic to cats. My eyes would be red, but it would be at least interesting to experience once.
Yeah, I would definitely have to stock up on the Benadryl before going there because I'm also allergic. But you brought up the aliens, and it reminded me that like I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I ultimately decided not, but Cyrodiil might be a good vacation destination depending on the era. But if you went during the era of like, let's say right after the hero of Kvatch saves
the Oblivion Crisis,
right after that,
right?
I think it would be awesome to do like a vineyard tour around Cyrodiil, wouldn't it? Because they have so many different vineyards there, and then like end it in Anvil. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Anvil, Anvil, but
yeah, Anvil.
When I played Oblivion, I loved Anvil. Anvil was like my favorite city, probably because of like the maritime type of feel to it. Mm-hmm. And it was always very warm. It had the beautiful sunsets to it and whatnot. But yeah, what do you guys think about Cyrodiil?
There's a lot of different places you could go with very like Cyrodiil's interesting because it has representations of many of the different cultures across the region. Like in the north, Bruma feels very Nordish, and in the south, Leowind feels very Argonian. Like depending on where you go, it kind of matches the culture it's nearby, and it's influenced by that. So it'd be kind of like a smorgasbord of like a sample platter of different cultures. What do you guys think?
Yeah, again, assuming it's not, during the events of ESO where everybody's fighting for it all the time and yeah, you're
in the middle of a war zone. Yeah, that that would be rough.
But yeah, I mean, again, I enjoy Anvil as well. I'm actually currently playing through Oblivion. In fact, today I went and listened to some earlier episodes, and I was still talking about that I was going to play Oblivion, and I've yet to beat Oblivion yet.
Oh man, you got to go beat it. You got to go do it.
I know, but ESO.
Yeah, too many games. There's too many games out there, guys.
Anvil so far has been my favorite city.
Cool. Yeah. I liked that it showed up in ESO. The fact that it's in ESO and the layout is actually very similar to Oblivion is cool. Yeah. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I want to call out some of the things some of you guys have said in chat while we go over this. Sulier says, I love Grotwood. That would be a cool place to go. We talked about that a little bit. Envy Courier writes, I'm going to the Shivering Isles. See ya. I don't know that I would want to go to the Shivering Isles. I think that would be a very dangerous vacation. That seems pretty rough. Sulier says, say hi to Haskell and Cutter the Crucible. Shivering Isles. Everything's just crazy. That would be so weird. But I would love to hear if anybody in chat or anybody listening to the podcast has any other thoughts on why certain locations would be better or worse for vacationing. Feel free to jump into the Discord and share some thoughts in there with us. Go hang out with Uncle Sheo. Yeah. He's he might feed you a bunch of cheese, or he might string you up and pull your guts out. You never know. It's worth the risk, I guess. Well, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us again. Any last thoughts on vacation stuff before we start heading out? Midnight?
I just wanted to add that I think it'd be really entertaining to go to the Coliseum in the Imperial City and just see people go for it.
Just murdering each other?
Yeah.
Coliseum medals? Oh my gosh.
It's so cool.
Okay, Midnight.
Oh no, it's just like the Roman Colosseum, that like the way I don't know, it used to be a big sport for them, and it's very bloody and stuff, and wouldn't want it to actually happen, but it'd be cool to see in a weird way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Throughout much of human history, like watching armed combat between two individuals in a stadium kind of setting, especially through the Roman world, was very common. Like, or watching people get tortured in the middle of town because they did something bad. Like, human brutality and being a spectator to that has been a very, very normal thing throughout most of human history. It's only the last 150 years in the Western world that we were like, oh, that's probably not a good idea anymore. Like the last beheading in France was in the 60s or something like that. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it hadn't happened for a few decades, but then they did another one. It was like in the 60s. Don't quote me on that. It's sometime in the middle of the 20th century. But yeah, that would be yeah, you might throw up at the end of watching that happen, but
100%.
But yeah, that would be interesting to see for sure.
Not something good. Like, it shouldn't happen at all. But like, if it was already happening and it was already a norm, maybe.
Yeah. Just like out of curiosity, just like, what is this really like?
It's the morbid curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah. How much pain do they take before one of them just gives up? Like, ugh. Yeah, that would be really, really
Does that mean that we would get to meet the adoring fan IRL?
Probably.
No.
I mean, you might be able to find them. You could become the adoring fan. Like really, just role play it as your vacation.
Well, that'd be good. Like if it was like, if you're referencing like the adoring fan from the Elder Scrolls Legends, which is like a really obscure reference that I'm sure not everyone here has played, but
yeah, there's a card,
he comes
right?
back. He never dies for good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a card. Yeah. That game has a bunch of these funny little in jokes in it. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. Let's go back through and, other than say reaching out on the Discord, which all of you guys are on, is there another way that people can get a hold of you? And also anything cool you're doing that you want to kind of shout out? Like if you have a personal project or a way for people to kind of check out some more of what you're doing. Let's just go back through alphabetically. Bribwin, how can people get a hold of you?
So Instagram is probably the best, or Discord. My Instagram is Big Bear Bats because that's a side company that I have as a baseball bat company. I don't think I'm doing any. I'm just trying to get through the year. This year's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But as we've talked about in episode, I would love to do group fishing more often. So if you're ever on and you see me on in ESO, my name is Bribwin. So you just send me an invite and I'll be happy to group fish with you.
Yeah. So. Or join the guild, and then you can always just look through the guild list and see who's on, and or send a message in game. Hey guys, I'm going to do some fishing. Anyone want to come? It's a great way to do it. Awesome. Kung Fu Kangaroo, how can people get a hold of you?
So, yeah, of course, as you mentioned, people can find me in the Discord, but I also use a different handle. I primarily play on Xbox. If people play any number of games, I've been playing a lot of Skyrim again recently, but I play a lot of multiplayer games. Elder Scrolls Online is one of them. I will go ahead and drop my gamer tag in the Twitch chat right here. For anyone listening who's not seeing the Twitch chat, it is N7. No space between N and 7. Spell out 7 and then space legend. N7 legend is my gamer tag, and if anyone wants to play some games with me, I'm always down. I will be home a lot. The latter half of December, I am completely off work, so I will be on a lot of games all the time. Awesome. And Lincoln? Oh, did we just lose Lincoln? Lincoln went from video to a little picture. Are you still there, buddy?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Sorry, my Discord just crashed.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you last. Midnight Minutes, thank you for joining us too, and welcome. I hope you had a good time, your first time on the show. And how can people get a hold of you? Unless, if you want to put stuff out there. If not, that's totally fine too.
Yeah. So obviously you guys can get a hold of me on the Discord. I play ESO a lot on my computer, and I also play a lot of Genshin Impact, if anyone ever wants to talk about that with me and anime love and all that. Yeah. I'm also on PS4, and my Twitter is midnight_minutes. The 2 M's are capitalized, and I don't have a lot there right now, but I'm going to be starting to post some concept art for Elder Scrolls-based Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I will be running for my friends. And as a DM, I love to draw concept art for every time I'm planning a campaign, that I want to start posting that Elder Scrolls-based concept art on my Twitter.
Oh, that's awesome. I love concept art. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And Lincoln, are you back? You good, buddy?
Yes, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if my Discord just gave up. I thought my internet gave up, but everything else was working fine. So, okay, anyways.
It happens.
But yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter. It's at EllisManLincoln, EllisMannL1NKN. And you can feel free to join our guild on ESO. It's the Lorecasters. If you are interested in joining, we have guilds for both PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. We got all three, with the exception of Xbox EU. So yeah, if you can feel free, we got a guild for you if you play on any of those platforms. And every single week, if you play on PCNA, we're doing events on Tuesday nights. Again, like Bribon wants, we're planning to do fishing again in the future. So come and play games with us and just have some fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. We were reminiscing. I haven't been able to jump into some of the most recent ones, but I need to one of these weeks. But the first time we actually got everyone together on an official guild event, this is a while back now, we all created new characters. We were running around Vardenfell, and we came across some guy going the other direction.
It was a world boss. A world boss.
So
that's right.
I'm talking about the guy that we met.
What you're talking about.
Some guy's like running the opposite direction from us, and there's like this pack of us just like all like through. And then I started following him around and helping him fight things, and then like the rest of the pack would follow. We would just follow him around for a while.
Like a bunch of ants.
Like a bunch of ants, just like wherever he would go, we would go. And then we started chatting with him in chat, and then we invited him into the Discord. And I don't remember, he was from some other country, so he had a strong accent, but he's like, my English isn't very good. And we're like, nah, it's cool, man. You're welcome to join us. And he's like, okay. So we just like conscripted him in the middle of our play session, and he just ran around fighting stuff and, I don't know, world bosses or whatever we came across. And he was just like down for the ride. It was awesome. So always wackiness, lots of good times.
Yeah, and there was this like world boss that we fought that like, I think because we were basically only doing like starter damage, like level 3 damage, it took so long to beat.
Yeah,
I think the boss just like, or the code didn't know what to do.
It reset.
Exactly.
It took us we had a bunch of beginner characters with no like end gear stuff, so we were doing basically like very flat average damage, but we couldn't kill it fast enough, and so it just kept resetting on us. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was good times. Yeah. So anyway, feel free to jump in with us. We'd love to have you guys on board here for all the fun. And remember that this show is normally on Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/robotsradio. Come hang out with us in the future. And on future episodes, we'll be doing our game show after the show. So if it's basically the contestant versus Twitch chat, and if Twitch chat can trick the contestant into picking the wrong answers, this is going to be like Elder Scrolls trivia questions, then Twitch chat wins the prizes. So there's potential for anyone who shows up to win prizes. So come join us next week on Thursday night for that. We'll be doing the same thing on Monday night for the Fallout Lorecast. And if you are into Cyberpunk and all the hype of that coming up tomorrow, and this will be a little bit too late for our podcast listeners, but if you're live on Twitch right now, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have an interview with Cody Pondsmith, who works at R. Telsorian, who created Cyberpunk and all that kind of stuff. And we have some questions for him, and we're going to be chatting with him live tomorrow. So come hang out with us for that too. It will be very, very cool. Thank you again, everybody. This has been super fun, and I'll see you guys again next week. And hopefully I'll see our patrons next month, and we'll do this again. All right. Have a good one out there. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. All sounds and music are owned by Bethesda Softworks or ZeniMax Studios, and no copyright infringement is intended. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESOLorecast. If you'd like to help support the show, check out the rewards you can get at patreon.com/elderscrollslorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon. And thanks to our patrons for support, especially our Tier 5 patrons, including Noodle Al Dente.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Have you ever wanted to learn more about geography without sitting through a snoozio lecture? Geography Arcade is a weekly podcast all about your favorite video games and their geographic lessons, inspirations, and even some minor analysis. Some may say analysis, boo! Well, we're gonna learn and have fun while we talk about Pokemon, Elder Scrolls, and much more. Come join the adventure at Geography Arcade on your favorite podcatcher and YouTube.
Ahoy there, ye landlubbers! Avast! My name is Captain Logan, and I'll be your guide out on the Sea of Thieves. If you love the idea of stealing treasure, cutting down cursed skeletons, fighting off krakens, and raiding forts filled to the brim with shinies, then Sea of Thieves is the game for you. Join me each week as I dive into the news and bring back the nuggets of information that any sailor worth their weight in salt would desire. You don't have to be a pirate legend to gain access to my podcast. Just search for Keelhauled, a Sea of Thieves podcast in your podcast app of choice, or head over to robotsradio.net or captainlogan.podbeam.com and get ready to set sail for adventure. Arr.
Hey, all you wannabe raiders out there, it's your bestest girl Rose coming at ya from top of the world. Now, it's time for your local traffic and weather. Well, looks like almost everyone's still dead, so traffic is at a standstill. And now a word from our sponsor, because they're totally not bribing me with massive amounts of chems or anything. Seems as the stuffed shirts are back at the White Springs playing games with that total loser Modus. But hey, if that's your thing, whatever. So if all you squares wanted to hear more totally sort of, but maybe not boring stories about rebuilding Appalachia and being all goody two-shoes, definitely not raiders, check out this thing they call a podcast. The Modus Files, whatever that's supposed to be. On Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you listen to those things. Double ugh. They are not paying me enough for this. Till later, this is Rose. Raiders rule!